Well, I don't know about you, but to me this looks like the face of a man who knows the gig is up. The time on the clock has run down to zero. And it's not just me saying that. It's not just conservative MPs saying that either. It's his own people, his own kin, the Laurentian elites, the same elites that staff the government and run our major corporations like rats on a sinking ship, getting while the getting is good. The entire board of the Pierre Trudeau Foundation, including the CEO, abruptly resigned on Tuesday morning. Crushed under the weight of the Prime Minister's incompetence and ethical failures, another Canadian charity can thank our Prime Minister for their demise. And let's just clear this up at the top. The Trudeau Foundation states that the reason for the board collapse is because of politicization of the Trudeau Foundation. It's not the politicization of the charity. Although appointing David Johnston as special rapporteur, a member of the Trudeau Foundation, and appointing Maurice Rosenberg, the former CEO of the foundation, to clear the government of any wrongdoing in the 2021 federal election probably doesn't help with politicization. It's not that. It's that they are directly implicated in the worst political scandal in Canadian history. Stick around for the Ratio of the Week prize and a video that the legacy media really don't want you to see. As always, drop a like on the video, help us out by subscribing to the True North YouTube channel, and the comment question for the episode is this. Is this the scandal to bring Trudeau down? Let me know, and let's get into it. Well, on Tuesday morning, Canadians woke up to the news that the Trudeau Foundation, the charity at the heart of the China scandal, had completely evaporated overnight, turned to dust, thanks in large part to the sheer brazenness with which they handle Chinese communist-backed donations. Now, in an effort to be as vague as possible, the charity announced that the mass exodus of the board and CEO of the Trudeau Foundation was due to the politicization of the charity. Makes one laugh when you realize that the Prime Minister himself had been personally appointing Trudeau Foundation members to investigate the government. Talk about politicization. Well, doing what Justin Trudeau does best when he's backed into a corner, he lashed out and attacked the Conservatives. That's right, it's the Conservatives' fault for the Trudeau Foundation accepting communist money, and then the Prime Minister appointing Trudeau Foundation members to investigate the government. Makes sense.
Those people who are trying to get short-term political gain by increasing polarization and partisanship in this country by launching completely unfounded and ungrounded attacks against charities or foundations must not succeed. Canada is a place where we support good works of all different types, and we need to continue to do that. I have no doubt that the Trudeau Foundation, like foundations and charities that conservative politicians have attacked in the past, will continue to do the excellent work that it will do. But as I've said many times, it's a foundation in my father's name that I have no direct or indirect connection with.
It's tough to imagine that someone could be that arrogant and that smug when answering a good faith question about Justin Trudeau's continued appointments of Trudeau Foundation members to investigate Chinese interference in the government. Also, what does he mean when he says that those people launching unfounded and ungrounded attacks against charities must not succeed? He does know that this journalism is coming from Global News and the Globe and Mail, right? But speaking of the Globe and Mail, take a look at the details now being released about that famous $200,000 donation, allegedly from Chinese billionaire Jiang Bin to the Trudeau Foundation. Who could have guessed? That money came directly from the coffers of the Chinese Communist Party. One source familiar with the matter said the China Cultural Industry Association, a state-backed group in Beijing that aims to build the soft power of Chinese culture globally, contacted the Trudeau Foundation at the outset to dictate what name and address should be put on the tax receipt for the gift. Officials with the association asked the Trudeau Foundation to refrain from using the name of Mr. Zhang and fellow billionaire Niu Gensheng, the men whom the foundation publicly identified as the donors. Instead, the officials asked the foundation to attribute the donation to Millennium Golden Eagle International's Canadian subsidiary, and they asked that the tax receipt be linked to an address in Hong Kong rather than the company's Canadian address, which is a large house with a pool and basketball court in the Montreal suburb of Dorval. The agreement with the two Chinese businessmen who initially took credit for the donation was signed by Alexandre Trudeau, brother of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. So take that in. The agreement to hide the true source of the donation to the Trudeau Foundation was signed by the Prime Minister's brother. For whatever reason, these two Chinese billionaires who have clear links to the Communist Party just didn't want their names to be on the donation. They wanted it to be under Millennium Golden Eagle. But take it from the Prime Minister's own mouth, ladies and gentlemen, as he says he has no indirect influence over the charity, despite the fact that his own brother co-signed a plan to hide the source of communist-backed donations to the Trudeau Foundation. By the way, remember when the foundation said they would be reimbursing the Chinese billionaires for their donations to the Trudeau Foundation? Hasn't happened yet. Not for a lack of trying. It's because they can't find the true source of the donation. Go figure. Hilariously, there's even footage of Justin Trudeau meeting one of those Chinese billionaires who helped hatch the plot to hide the true source of the donation to the Trudeau Foundation. Look at how happy they are to see each other. Now, in response to all of this, Pierre Poilievre wrote a letter to David Johnston, the special rapporteur and sitting member, still, of the Trudeau Foundation, whose job it is to investigate Chinese election interference. One simple question. Dear rapporteur, he writes, explain this. How will you investigate Beijing's donations to the Trudeau Foundation when you were part of the Trudeau Foundation? Awaiting your answer. Trudeau's lashing out, Trudeau's attacks against the Conservatives, they didn't stop after that first video clip. He was then forced the next day to defend David Johnston's appointment as special rapporteur.
David Johnston is one of the most appropriate, and he's a man of incredible integrity. His ability to look into the question of foreign interference in our political systems remains something that is extremely important to do and extremely important to take seriously.
Now notice the change in body language and tone. The arrogant wind has been taken out of Justin Trudeau's sails. He can only half-heartedly defend David Johnston's appointment. And then, of course, the obligatory attack on Conservatives.
And I will highlight as well that the snarkiness with which the leader of the official opposition is approaching these serious issues doesn't do him any credit, and it doesn't do credit to the kinds of serious discussions need to be had around foreign interference.
And the Prime Minister wasn't feeling any love from Canadians in the comment section of that video. Justin Trudeau, in other words, after being PM for 8 years, I still can't recognize an obvious conflict of interest. I don't get that someone can be a super person and qualified for a job, but ineligible for a position because of a conflict of interest. Look who's snarky and utterly contemptuous of the Canadian people. Just imagine defending this corruption. Johnston himself should distance himself as far as possible over this. It speaks to bad judgment that he is still around. A planned agenda to get the boy off the hook. Communism 101. Accuse your enemy of that which you are doing yourself in order to create confusion. Now, just to cover his bases, if Justin Trudeau finds that this scandal ends up on the desk of the ethics commissioner, not to worry. Trudeau tapped the sister-in-law of Dominic LeBlanc, the Minister of Intergovernmental Affairs, to be the acting ethics commissioner. Even for Trudeau, that is a stunning level of contempt for the Canadian people. To tap your own cabinet minister's sister-in-law, a family member, to be the new ethics commissioner to clear Justin Trudeau, of course, of any wrongdoing. All right, here we go. The winner of the Ratio of the Week prize this week is Francois-Philippe Champagne for this horrendous take on Twitter. Check it out. For the first time ever, a woman, a person of color, and a Canadian will go in deep space and go to the moon. Let's celebrate. Yes, let's celebrate this great Canadian accomplishment by reducing Canadians to just another box to tick, just another underprivileged box to tick to show we're advancing on diversity and equity. Rightfully so, Champagne got brutally ratioed for this horrendous take. 2,460 replies to only 850 likes. The great Gad Sad writes, I hope that the astronauts will include an air acknowledgement akin to the land acknowledgements that we have in Canada. These astronauts are not the first beings in space. They are unceded air. Space colonialists. Jody Wilson-Raybould, of all people, put a facepalm emoji under Champagne's tweet. That's gotta hurt. One of your own. And this from Luke Rudkowski. Where is the trans-disabled person? You should be ashamed of yourself. I promised I'd be showing you a clip at the end of the show that the legacy media really don't want you to see. Yesterday, a group of high school students organized a protest outside of York Mills Collegiate Institute, where a drag queen was dancing in front of students for a International Day of Pink assembly. Despite what the media and our woke government tries to tell us, Not everyone is in favor of radical gender ideology. In fact, when one counter-protester waving a transgender flag basically hijacked the pedestal being used by the protest organizers, a student ripped the transgender flag out of that protester's hands as the crowd of students erupted in cheers. If you want to check out the full report about what happened yesterday outside York Mills Collegiate, click the video link on the screen right now. That's going to do it for us this week on the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Harrison Faulkner, and this is Ratioed.